After reaching a Rocky Mountain high with a come-from-behind win in Denver, the Cubs return to Wrigley Field, powered by Jorge Soler. And the comeback Cubs walked off with their third consecutive win. From the famous corner of Clark and Addison here in Chicago, we're set for Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. The first place Chicago Cubs welcome in the Cincinnati Reds for the second game of a three-game series. Hi again, everyone. Alongside Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper. I know it's 6 games in, but it's nice to say the first place Cubs. They've won 3 in a row, and they've gotten great output here lately from their outfield.
Yeah, a lot of contributions from a lot of different people. The bullpen has been outstanding. We're going to focus, however, on a couple of outfielders. Jorge Soler, the youngster, big night last night, 3 out of 5 with a couple of 2-run home runs. And Chris Coughlin, who really finished the season well last year, off to a great start here again in 2015.
John Lester still trying to get settled in as a Cub. Jake Arrieta definitely got settled in last year, and a terrific performance in his first start last week.
Yeah, nice to see him pick up where he left off last year. A little wobbly in the first inning. He walked a couple in that first inning, but settled in and did what Jake frequently does, 7 innings of shutout baseball. Allowed just 3 hits while striking out 7.
And he has not allowed an earned run over his last 3 starts dating back to last year. Young right-hander Anthony DeSclafani, as they say, he likes his fastball.
Yeah, he does. An important start for him because the Reds bullpen, even though it's early in the season, they've been used a lot. So Brian Price is going to ask him to go deep into this ball game.
So the Cubs have won 3 straight. The Reds have dropped 3 in a row. Jake Arrieta will take the ball against the NL Central rival Reds next. Hamilton, who did not play last night. We'll get the rest of the Reds lineup here in a second. Why wouldn't Jake be anxious to face this team? A couple of different occasions last year, he almost threw a no-hitter against them.
He's a predator. He's like, let's go, let's get it on. I'm ready.
So Arrieta's first offering is a fastball right down Main Street on Hamilton for strike 1. His last start against the Reds, a complete game 1-hit shutout. September 16th of last season.
A little wobbly with his command first inning of his last start, but typically Arrieta comes out of that bullpen throwing bullets, and it's a 92-mile-an-hour cutter. You got the swing and miss on there.
Strike 3 on the inside. Comeback sinker caught the corner. Now the rest of the Reds Southwest starting lineup, you just saw Billy Hamilton, Joey Votto off to a really good start. Frazier, Phillips, Bruce, and Bird in the middle. Brian Pena in there once again for Devin Mesoraco. Zach Cozart, the shortstop, and Anthony DeSclafani, the pitcher. High 95 on Votto.
Missed with that sinker down below the knees. Our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Jake Arrieta. Pursuing mediocrity. 10-5 with a 253 last year for the big right-hander.
I think the point of that sponsorship, JD, is that you're always pursuing it, and
you never quite get there. It's just dangling out there beyond our reach.
2 hits, a triple, and a double for Votto last night, but it was after the leadoff double in the 10th. Base running gaff as he got thrown out at third. Lifts this ball into deep left. Coghlan takes a look back, and right on the edge of the warning track, he makes a catch. 2 outs.
2 quick outs for Arrieta here in the first. Let's see who joins Coghlan defensively for the Cubs tonight. Fowler, center, Soler. He threw a man out at third base last night. He did everything well. Herrera gets a start at third tonight. Castro and Alcantara up the middle. Rizzo at first. Montero behind the plate. For our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher, Jake Arrieta.
There you go.
And one of these days, he may get that perfecto.
Frazier tied for the major league lead with 9 RBIs. Popped him up on the infield. It'll be the shortstop, Castro. Cubs coming up after the Reds are kept scoreless.
Is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. AT&T Uverse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT, mobilizing your world. Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Jake Arrieta went 1-2-3. Right-hander Anthony DeSclafani, making his Wrigley Field debut, faced the Cubs as a Marlin last year. And swinging away, Dexter Fowler. Fouls off. If the Cubs Leadoff man reaches via a hit. Woody's Beverage Depot will make a $100 donation to Make-A-Wish, Illinois. Here's the 0-2 off the outside corner.
DeSclafani last year with the Marlins pitched 13 times at the big league level, a handful of starts. He also worked out of the pen. Got a good heater, 2 and a 4-seam fastball, slider, and a changeup.
.6'2", 180. Might be playable for Frazier, and it is. Wind is not a factor. East at, they're saying, is 2 miles an hour, 51 degrees as we get started. As the Cubs Southwest starting lineup, Rizzo coming up, Soler with 2 homers last night, scored the game-winning run as well. Chris Coghlan off to a great start. Castro, Montero, Alcantara with his first hit of the season. It was a game winner. The pitcher Arrieta and the third baseman Herrera. 3 games in, the Cubs were batting 140 as a team. They had scored 3 runs total. Their last 3 games, 22 runs and a team OPS of over 900.
Yeah, hitting the ball with authority, extra base hits, balls leaving the ballpark. They've been working walks.
Rizzo in the air, shallow left. Bird dives, and he's got it. Second great catch in this series by Marlon Byrd. Last night, a little bit of a bigger one in terms of the game situation, but that was a really nice grab right there.
Yeah, indeed it was. Last night, cutting across the outfield, he made a catch on a sinking line drive. Here, a little flare off the bat of Rizzo. Looked like it might drop in for a knock. The veteran Marlon Byrd makes a nice play for the young right-hander.
So 2 outs and a nice hand for Jorge Soler's second career 2-homer game last night. Added an outfield assist as well. And takes a strike.
So the Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher for the Reds. You look at the numbers for DeSclafani last year with the Marlins, 2-2 with a .627.
Over in that Matt Latos deal over the winter.
Originally signed by the Blue Jays and was part of that huge deal a couple of years ago between Toronto and the Marlins. The Burley, Reyes, and on deal. It was like 12 guys made the move in that trade.
Pitch wasn't where DeSclafani wanted it, but he thought it was a strike on a changeup. And fouled back. Cubs have come up with some big hits with 2 strikes. There's Coghlan on deck. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Both starters with a clean first.
Just got our first sight of Jorge Soler after an incredible evening last night. And Joe Maddon went on to say that this is a guy who we're so, as human beings, want to equate size with maturity. And he says it's hard not to do that with him. At just 23 years old, he really does have a great grasp at the plate, though, able to look over a pitch, great feel, and an incredible understanding of how to work an at-bat. And maybe the most impressive thing he said about watching him is the way he will the ability to make adjustments while he's up there. And he said last night, guys, we watched him go right, left, and then out to dead center. And all of that, of course, he's doing as he's watching the game. And maybe, JD, you can expand upon all of that.
Yeah, he's just an impressive young player. And maybe said best earlier, let's watch his play here.
Picked up by Herrera. He gets Phillips. One pitch, one out.
Well done. Len and I were in the press dining room here just a little while ago and talking with a couple of scouts. Gory Lakey, who's been in the game for about 50 years, said it best. I think he said Soler makes the park play small, both at the plate and in the field, because of his power and his arm. He's a man-child, big, strong kid. And the assumption is young players are going to get better and better. I don't know. He's so good right now. He's such a finished product in many ways. But if he does get better,
look out.
Hang with him, National League pitchers.
Jay Bruce, 2 hits, 2 RBIs in the ball game last night. Reds won their first 4, all in their final at bat. They have now dropped 3 straight. They had a couple of different 3-run leads, 3-0 and 6-3, and did not close the deal last night.
Yeah, they've got bullpen issues. They did last year. They were near the bottom of the league in terms of bullpen ERA, and they are again here in the early going this year.
Two and one on Jay Bruce. Pitched by Arrieta. That's that lane-changing slider.
Mm-hmm. Just great late movement. Backdoor cutter, maybe.
Yep.
Go-to pitch for him, and we saw this in his last start with Montero back there. Shaking a couple times to get to that pitch. That's a favorite pitch of Arrieta, and the longer they work together, the more you'll probably see Montero start to call it more frequently instead of Arrieta having to shake to it.
2. Bruce stays alive.
Cub fans, let's go. The Chicago Cubs look to make some noise here at Wrigley Field. We got the Reds again tomorrow night, and then a weekend set with the Fighting Friars. That would be the San Diego Padres. Tickets are still available for every game, and they can be yours at Cubs.com. That's a new look Padre team. Should be fun to watch this weekend.
Montero just could not hang on to it.
Bruce won't be able to complain about not having a pitch. He's over the heart of the plate.
Bird on deck. Another 3-2 and another foul. Arrieta's home numbers just off the charts as a Chicago Cub. His last 14 starts in this ballpark, a 1.35 ERA. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 95 on the fastball.
Bruce hung in there, had a lengthy at bat, but tough to get a piece of that elevated heater at 95. That's what Jake said. He's a candidate for the Dorothy Gale There's No Place Like Home award. Been good just about everywhere, but unbelievably good here at Wrigley.
I thought it was the Vince Neil Home Sweet Home award. Okay. They're competing awards. Different groups vote. Strike one on Marlon Byrd. He referenced his defense earlier. Made a nice diving catch to rob Anthony Rizzo. He also robbed Wellington Castile, probably a game-winning knock in the bottom of the ninth last night.
Arrieta pitch away, perhaps, from going 6 up, 6 down to start this ball game, and that's what he did so often last year. Typically, first 3 innings, maybe not typically, but quite often, just blow through that opposing lineup, really set the tone.
Jake's got that flat build cap working tonight, doesn't he? Looks like he just pulled it right out of the box. This guy's worked that bill in a little bit, kind of curve it.
It's a look.
Breaking ball is hit in the air to center. Easy play for Dexter Fowler. Ho hum, Jake Arrieta. 1, 2, 3 for the second straight inning. Face off with the Nashville Predators. Get ready for the series with Chevy Blackhawks pregame live at 7 here on CSN. Should be a great series. I've seen 9 batters in this game through an inning and a half. Nobody has reached. The Cubs will send Coghlan, Castro, and Montero against Anthony DeSclafani, New Jersey native, pitching in this ballpark for the first time. Big night for Coghlan last night. 3 for 4, a double, a homer, a walk. All the hits were off Mike Leake. He's now 8 for 8 lifetime, and he was 1 for 1 against DeSclafani, but he finally makes it out against him. So he's now 1 for 2.
Coghlan coming off a very good year. He had a good spring. He got into that one last night, and he absolutely owns Mike Leake. I saw some comments from Leake in the Cincinnati paper today. And he said, I'm going to have to go review some video. I've got to come up with a different plan against Chris Coghlan.
Just took some more ground balls at third today. After filling in there last night. Tommy La Stella has gone to the disabled list with right rib cage inflammation. The Cubs have recalled lefty Zach Rosscup from AAA Iowa to help out the bullpen. 1-1 on Starlin Castro.
Stefani appears to have a pretty solid, repeatable delivery. Pretty good life on the fastball.
Probably won't see Hector Rondon tonight. He has been a busy guy. When you're winning games, usually your bullpen is a little beaten up. You're using your top guys to close out games.
That's where it's nice to develop depth in that bullpen and have other guys you can rely on to hold leads late, aside from your typical 8th and 9th inning guys. Joe Madden would tell you he does have that kind of depth down there. He has a lot of confidence in Neil Ramirez. Jason Mott has done that job very well in the past.
So Castro draws the 1-out walk. Becomes the first runner tonight.
Getting next, the catcher, number 47, Miguel Montero.
It's Miguel Montero. Pitch hit walk late last night. Finished the game as the catcher. Talking with Joe Madden today, he said he would have pinch run Travis Wood for Montero if he had a full bench late in the game last night, but he didn't. And actually, Montero with a good piece of base running on that catch by Bird. Is Miguel went halfway to third, but then was able to spot the fact that Bird caught the ball and he got back to second in time.
Stefani does not have a big body of work at the big league level. So far in his career, left-handers have had their way with him, hitting .347.
See that All-Star Game patch on the right sleeve. The city of Cincinnati will host the Midsummer Classic this season. Goes the runner, and Montero fouls off. Hit and run attempt. Hey, this Friday, April 17th, the Cubs welcome in the Padres at 1:20 in the first 10,000 fans in attendance. We'll get a Cubs winter aviator hat presented by Pepsi. For more info or to purchase seats, visit Cubs.com. Two and two. Contra on deck, hitting 7th tonight. Cubs will have yet another off day before that weekend series against San Diego. Night game tomorrow and then off on Thursday. Full count, 3-2. Pretty good bet Castro will be on the move here.
And if you are running here, if you're Starlin Castro, you have to take the mindset that you're trying to steal a base. A lot of times on 3-2 base runners are, it's going to be, contact or ball 4. But just in case there's a swing and miss, you don't want to. You want to give yourself every chance to steal that bag, especially with a righty on the mound. Get an aggressive lead and get a good jump.
There he goes. Montero fouls.
It used to be base runners in this situation were taught, you don't have to get a great jump. The burden's on the hitter to either put the ball in play or take ball 4. So don't get picked off. Don't get picked off, but still don't make any assumptions. Go ahead and get yourself a good lead and a good break.
Yeah, we're in the era of the strikeout. As you said, you don't want to take it for granted. The guy's going to make contact.
I want to play it too safe. It's like a battleship in the harbor. It's safe, but he's got to get out of there to do any damage. You got to get out of the harbor.
Yep. He runs again, and Montero fouls yet again.
He's getting the sprint work in here.
Madden in 7 continues to hit the pitcher 8th. So far, so good. He likes how it has felt. Astro runs, and he somehow got out of the way. They're still going to turn it. 4-6-3. Although I guess if it had hit him, it would have been a dead ball.
Yeah.
The inning continues.
In hindsight.
Yeah. Inning over. On Comcast Sportsnet, brought to you by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Visit Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. So we mentioned the roster move earlier. Tommy La Stella to the DL. The Cubs choosing not to replace him with a position player, but Zach Rosscup in the bullpen.
Yeah, no Chris Bryant. Obviously, there's a Chris Bryant angle, it seems like, every day, whether you want to invent it or not. But Theo kind of left open that possibility. He said he didn't want to speculate. He was asked directly, could we see him this homestand? I think it would still be a surprise, but these injuries have kind of maybe accelerated the timeline a little bit.
Ryan Pena, the switch hitting catcher. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reporters talked to Chris Coughlin today. He actually came up as a third baseman. Played it in college. Started in the Marlins minor league system. Miguel Cabrera was the incumbent there, so they moved him to second. And then the Marlins took Dan Uggla in the Rule 5 draft. So it's kind of all hands on deck here for the next few days at third base. At least until Chris Bryant gets here. But Patrick, I was talking to JD off the air. I think it's kind of fun that everybody here kind of knows that at some point there's going to be a guy playing third base every day, and he's not on the current roster. But that esprit de corps, whatever Joe called it the other day, maybe kind of exists at that position right now with everybody pitching in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up Esprit de Corps. That was a good Joe Maddenism that had us Googling it. But, I think this is a big, part of what Joe Madden is about, that he likes versatility. He doesn't like, throwing out the same lineup every single day. And even Chris Bryant, I think there's still a little bit of a question of whether or not he is going to stick at third base. I know we're kind of penciling him in here for the next 7 years.
Nice play by Arrieta. One away.
But as a guy who's 6'5", who's drawn comparisons to Jason Worth, maybe he does wind up in the outfield. I think that's why, JD, we see all these kind of moving pieces, with, whether it's Russell, Starlin.
Yeah, I fully expect when Chris gets up here that, he'll be taking some fly balls in the outfield and ultimately may find a little playing time out there. And I think you're Joe Madden. And if you play for Joe Madden, you fairly quickly realize that he really values versatility. So, grab a glove, go take ground balls. If you're an outfielder, go shag fly balls. If you're an infielder, make yourself available to do any number of jobs.
Well, even, we talk about the team concept, but, and I know, JD, you've mentioned this before, that there's some, quote, selfishness that can exist in this sport that is not considered a pejorative term. In other words, if you're Chris Coughlin and you want to be a Cub for a long time, yeah, you're not going to just be able to play left field, because the Cubs have outfielders coming, and I think him grabbing that infielder's glove every once in a while makes him more indispensable, so to speak.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to help the team, but you've got your own career to think about too. 2-2 on Zach Cozart.
Yeah, and I think, too, over the past few years, we've come to realize the value of platoon splits, left-handed bats versus right-handed pitchers and vice versa. So if your ability to move around the field gets you into more games against an off-sided pitcher, it's going to help your numbers.
Alcantara, I remember last year, Alcantara came up and played mostly center field, but we've seen him mostly in the infield, really going back to spring training.
And it wasn't that long ago, I remember a scout telling me he thought Alcantara was the best defensive shortstop in the entire organization. That was pre-Addison Russell. I think Alcantara was at AA, but it just shows you, the defensive value that he can bring, and if he can, turn into this Ben Zobrist type of guy, Joe Madden would love to see that.
Strike on the pitcher, DeSclafani, 1 for 11 in his career, 0 for 1 this season.
Not a bad swing. Probably a bad decision to hack at that high fastball, but pretty good looking swing. Arrieta's about to go 9 up, 9 down.
I was going to say, Twitter's going to go crazy here at some point. Good frame job by Montero. Didn't buy the call, however. And it's 1-2. The Reds know all about it. So he had them handcuffed a couple of times last year into the late innings. Confident guy, Jake Arrieta, right? He's said some interesting things here the last couple of months.
Yeah, he's been a great quote really since he came up. I mean, he was in Iowa, and he was like, "I belong here. I'm going to be in this rotation." And to his credit, he's done it. And I think, JD, to pitch at this level, you need that kind of edge. And if you want to be a number one type starter, you kind of got to talk the game too.
Yeah, well, it's all coming together for him. He obviously has always had top of the rotation stuff. He had command issues when he was in Baltimore. Change of scenery, I think, has done him a world of good. He's an ace.
Nasty curveball. That's not fair against the other pitcher, Patrick Mooney. CSNChicago.com. He covers the Cubs beat. Jake Arrieta hasn't given up a base runner through 3. Nothing. We've had one base runner, but both starters have faced the minimum. Castro walked with one out in the second, but DeSclafani then got a 4-6-3 double play ball. I don't want to make you get out the rule book, but I do believe if Castro had intentionally been hit by that ball, I'm not so sure it would have just been right. You'd have to kind of make it look like it was a mistake for that not to be a double play ball.
Right. I believe so, yeah.
Can't just get in the way of a ground ball because you're sure it's going to be two and make it just one.
There's only been a handful of guys that have those kinds of instincts anyway.
Right. Here's our T-Mobile game changer. Jake Arrieta last year on September 16th. Career high 13 strikeouts, but the Reds didn't have a hit until Brandon Phillips just got one past a diving Matt Caesar with one out in the 8th. Jake would finish the game with the one hitter. What a performance. One strike on Arrieta as he bats with one out.
Jake finished with a 2.53 ERA last year. He threw 156 innings. Remember, he was a little tender to start the year, so he didn't make his first start until May 3rd. So he did not have enough innings to qualify among the league leaders. If he did, he would have been among the league leaders in any number of categories. And remember, he had one just absolutely miserable start in Colorado. Gave up 9 runs up in Denver in 5 innings. So if you just throw that one out, you'll shave a good chunk out of that ERA. But he's on his way. He's fully established now as one of the best starters in this league. Not sure what's going on there.
Jeff Garland maybe in the house. Those were giveaway masks a couple of years ago, I believe, right? Jonathan Herrera, 3rd consecutive start. Mike Olt still day-to-day. La Stella now on the DL. But retroactive to last Thursday, so he's almost halfway through that stint. DeSclafani's been impressive early. No score after 3.
Sunday, and this Sunday after the ball game, the first 1,000 kids 13 and younger will be allowed on the field to run the bases. For more information on the Cubs Kids Sundays program, visit Cubs.com/kids.
The team with a hit as we get into the 4th. Ball one on Billy Hamilton, who leads the majors with 7 stolen bases. He has not yet been caught. That was a problem last year. He stole 56, but he was caught a major league high 23 times. Cornermen are way in on the infield, and there's a line drive, base hit. So Hamilton is on with nobody out. That's the first hit for either club.
Next up, the first baseman, Joey Votto.
Hamilton on Friday injured a finger, his left index finger, with a headfirst slide. I think the key number there is the 4 walks. He didn't get on base enough last year.
No, he obviously has the speed you want at the top of the order, but the on-base skills weren't there. At least weren't on display last year. There he goes.
Pitches a strike, the throw, backed up by Alcantara, and he's 8 for 8 now. See what the ball was. He had no shot.
Yeah, just so fast, and that's what, as a pitcher, how much energy do you devote to trying to hold him over there at first base if you're not going to throw him out anyway, especially with a dangerous hitter like Votto in the box. And that's why it's such a great advantage to be hitting behind Billy Hamilton, because of the distractions and the RBI opportunities he's going to provide. He's going to turn a walk or a single into a double in a hurry by stealing that base.
Side to Votto, make it 2-1.
Crowd him with a cut fastball. Looked like it caught the inside corner.
Swing and a miss. 2-2.
This is an interesting matchup because there's 2 very intense performers and 2 guys that are playing at a very high level. Votto, an off year last year, he missed a bunch of time with leg issues, but given what we've seen from him last night and the numbers he's put up so far this year, he appears to be healthy and primed for a big year.
Checked his swing and hit it foul. Votto asked the home plate umpire Paul Emmel if that would have been a strike. Emmel back at the plate. Andy Fletcher at first. Jordan Baker at second. Jerry Meals, the crew chief, at third. Full count, 3-2. Another interesting thing about Joey Votto, unlike a lot of hitters today, and they're all encouraged to stay in the box, he rarely walks out of the batter's box. Pitch comes, he barely moves at all, and he's ready to go. He's the Mark Burley of hitters. He rolls one into right center, and Hamilton will easily score. So Jake Arrieta had gone 26 consecutive innings over his last 3+ starts without allowing an earned run until that RBI single.
Yeah, that's so important to keep Billy Hamilton off the bases.
Watching Hamilton, he was about 3 steps from home plate when that ball was picked up in the outfield. Strike on Frazier. Hit very hard. They'll still try to turn it, and they can't. There's your fielder's choice, one away.
Double play still in order. Satchel Paige used to talk about cool Papa Bella. Said he was so fast he could turn out the lights and get under the covers before the room got dark. That's Hamilton's speed. Stoller picks it up, and obviously there was going to be no play on Hamilton.
They should change the rule. If you throw the ball back into the infield before Hamilton's in the dugout, he's out. Breaking ball strike to Brandon Phillips.
Phillips had a big night last night.
Yes, he did. He had 4 hits. And that ball thumped in the left center. He's got 5 hits in the series.
And the one time they got him out last night, he hit a rocket to left.
Next up, the right fielder.
Well, the Reds have been around forever. And you start to look at Brandon Phillips and where he ranks in team history. Games played, he's 13th on the list. He's closing in on Ted Kluszewski. In about a week, he'll get there. Get into the top 10 in RBIs at some point this season. He and Joey Votto have now made 846 starts together, the most on the right side of the infield for any tandem in the history of the franchise. He's the all-time leader among Reds second basemen in hits, doubles, homers, and RBIs.
Yeah, besting Joe Morgan in all those categories, the Hall of Famer.
Round ball, and it's through. Just squirted past a diving Herrera. Throw goes to third, and tumbling is Castro over top of Phillips, and he's safe. Frazier scores 2-0, and now they've got Bruce caught up between first and second. Phillips halfway between third and home. Tag applied. Bruce is out. Boy, that was a discombobulated play, and Brandon Phillips is shaken up.
Yeah, it was a play that I assumed was dead. I thought the play was over, and all of a sudden Jay Bruce started to drift towards second base, and Castro had the presence of mind to find him. Good aggressive base running by Phillips as he initially sees a vacant third base. Castro just does his best to catch that ball, turns, tumbles over Phillips. It looked like Phillips was asking for timeout there, but Jerry Meals, the third base umpire, never signaled timeout, so there's no dead ball situation. And here Castro gets up and sees Bruce just drifting a little too far out to sea, and they get him in a rundown.
So I believe that goes 6-3, 4-3, 5 to get Bruce. Not quite sure what's the issue for Phillips, but he got run over.
Because I think if he's not in pain, he tries to score during that rundown on Bruce, force them to make a play at home. If you're out at home and Bruce cruises into second base, and he would be in scoring position anyway. But obviously Phillips in a good bit of pain here.
Add Coughlin on that list. 7-6, 3-4, 3-5. Well, he is not right.
Awkwardly goes down there to try to avoid the tag, and then Castro rolls over the top of him, and he kind of looked all right initially, though, didn't he? When he first got to his knee.
He didn't, though, because he kind of staggered toward home. I thought he was going to try to go, but he didn't quite look right.
Who says baseball's not a contact sport?
Yeah, no interference on the play. Contact was made after the ball was caught. So Phillips is going to try to gut it out here. Hey, the Newborn Fan Club is the perfect gift to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Get a customized photo of the Wrigley Field marquee, a Cubs birth certificate, baby stocking cap, and a Rookie of the Year onesie. Visit Cubs.com/kids today. So Phillips still at third, 2 outs. We'll keep an eye on him the rest of the night. Two runs in, and Marlon Byrd ground ball, base hit. Phillips jogs home, 3-0. This feels like a couple of innings against John Lester last night. In fact, there were 2 3-run innings in game 1 for the Reds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 singles in this inning.
Yeah, they came into the inning without a hit. Now they've posted 5.
At the plate, the catcher.
Exactly tearing the cover off the ball, but finding holes. This ball in. Phillips appeared to be moving okay.
The third 3-run deficit of this series for the Cubs. They erased the previous 2. And while the narrative of the comeback kids is fun, and I'm all for it, JD.
Yeah.
I think ideally you don't want to get down early every night.
No, and Joe Madden talked about it. He said, the whole esprit de corps thing, when you win coming from behind, it provides a real spark in the clubhouse. And I agree with that. As to the carryover effect of that, I don't know. The whole idea that now we have confidence that we can win late. I guess. I know when you lose late, that could be demoralizing. I'm not a big momentum guy. So that little momentum is the next night's starting pitcher. Put a little more stock in that.
Three balls and a strike on Pena. Ball 4. First walk issued by Arrieta.
Well, that's what happens, right? You start giving up hits, and you start to, well, man, bad things are happening when the ball gets put in play, so you get a little more particular, try to pick at corners. In this instance, Pena shows good patience and takes the walk. Faced 9 through the first 3 innings, and he's about to face his 8th batter here in the 4th.
Curveball missed to Cozart. He's 1 for 5 in the series. He has started every game at short. In fact, the whole Reds infield has first to third. Votto, Phillips, Cozart, and Frazier. One ball, 2 strikes. Three spot for the Reds here in the 4th inning. The team had anything going through the first 3 innings offensively. Fly ball, Fowler coming in, and he'll get there to finally end the inning. 8 batters come to the plate, 3 score. Let's play 2, as Ernie would say.
As we head to the bottom of the 4th, Jake Arrieta getting in some trouble there in that last inning. You saw Miguel Montero kind of pop up and head out to the mound to talk to him. It's interesting because these two, of course, worked together the last time out. It would have been Wednesday of last week in St. Louis, and Arrieta said after the game, you know, this is a guy who will come out and basically let me have it. He goes, you know, some pitchers like to have the pats on the back when they're doing a good thing. Others need to basically be yelled at, and that's exactly what Montero did, and we really saw Jake kind of settle in there. Of course, that was his first outing. He said the nerves were working, but we'll see if tonight with those two talking guys, maybe they can work some things out for him as he comes back in the 5th.
Kelly, thank you. As first pitch is fouled away by Dexter Fowler. 1 strike, 3-0 Cincinnati here in the bottom of the 4th.
A good catcher serves as an extra pitching coach out there on the field.
Sure.
You have a veteran catcher back there you have a lot of faith in, and Montero has that reputation. We'll probably see less of Chris Bosio on the field this year because of that.
Yeah, their game planning obviously involves the pitchers and the catchers, and you've got Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, Lester Strode, the bullpen coach, Mike Borzello, who's kind of a catching guru. He's heavily involved with the scouting reports and going over things with the catchers. So the Cubs really believe, as most organizations do, JD, that the pitching is really about the battery, not just the guy on the mound.
No, and that's what you want, a catcher engaged. You know, I've been around some catchers. I've heard stories about some catchers, some very good catchers who didn't want to participate in pregame meetings, didn't want to go over scouting reports. That's not a good thing. And in this day and age, with all the information that's available, I don't think you can have that anymore.
There's Mike Borzello.
He's always pouring over the computer, the video, the scouting reports. In Colorado, he had the Hector Rondon. Even the relief pitchers get into it with him.
Diving stop, Brandon Phillips, who nearly left the game after being run over at third base, but the Gold Glover, or the Gold Glove play there, and he's got his hands on his knees again.
4-time Gold Glover, Brandon Phillips. He earned those Gold Gloves. He can flat out play. There's your Xfinity high-speed action. Phillips with a pretty play. Taking away a base hit from Dexter Fowler.
He's got 4 Gold Glove trophies. Brandon Phillips, after tonight, might feel like he went through a Stanley Cup playoff game. Hitters count here to Rizzo. 2-1.
Home run swing. Finally able to slip the fastball by him.
We have a series or a game last year in Cincinnati, and the Reds lost like 4 guys. Phillips got hurt. And Skip Schumacher ran into the fence in right.
I'll take your word for it.
Strike called. Remember, Phillips landed awkwardly on his wrist. You have no recollection of this,
No.
right?
No.
Frazier makes the catch. There's random things pop into my head. Cozart got hurt.
Frustrating at bat for Rizzo. He knows he had to pitch on 2-0, didn't do anything with, and ultimately popped up.
Hamilton had a hamstring.
Oh yeah, now I got it. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, and I was on with the guys on radio on opening night. I referenced the fact the last time the Cubs opened the season at home and won was 1996. And I said that was Pat Hughes' first game as a Cubs radio broadcaster. And I didn't prep him for this. And he said, Len, I remember the day. It was about 35 degrees, cloudless. It was Jamie Navarro. Again, he had the starting pitchers, Andy Ashby. And the Cubs are on the hit board. Soler with a 2-out single. Mark Grace with a solid single to left against Trevor Hoffman in the 10th. I mean,
he 2-1 changeup.
Every detail. I'm not quite like that. What I remember is kind of more of question marks. Wasn't it this guy who did that against us maybe 2 years ago? Pat and Ron over in the Cubs WBBM radio booth. And the newest members up top, Mark Grody and Dave Miska. Great to have those guys in the radio family here at Wrigley Field. Strike to Coghlan. We got a bunch of tweets, at least I did last night. Is he wearing his outfielder's glove at third? No. He's got infielder's gloves as well. That would not be something I would think you'd ever see a major leaguer do, wear an outfielder's mitt on the infield. One ball, one strike. Deep center. Hamilton backpedaling, and he's got it, and the inning is over. Squared up by Coghlan, but just allowed out. 3-zip Cincinnati. playoffs with playoff previews starting at 10:30 on Sportsnet Central. Rough fourth for Jake Arrieta. Gave up 5 hits and 3 runs. As he faces Anthony DeSclafani, who's kept the Cubs to 1 hit and no runs.
That's the good news, the fact that he's got DeSclafani leading off here, the 5th. Lengthy 4th, see if he can have a quick top half of the 5th here.
Right back to the mound, snagged by Arrieta for the out. All right, so I saw this story last night. Carter Capps, who's actually AAA in the Marlins organization, has had some big league time. The guy throws like 100 miles an hour. This is his delivery.
Yeah, this is funky how he jumps off the rubber, resets that back foot. So look how close he is to the edge of the mound here when he ultimately lets go of the ball. They've asked for clarification, and Major League Baseball has said that's legal.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
First 2 pitches for him for AAA New Orleans last week were deemed illegal pitches. So that's an automatic ball. So the Marlins front office called MLB and said, no, wait a second. Let's get a clarification, because when he's back, we've got to make sure he's okay.
It's kind of like Jordan Walden, who we saw with the Cardinals, the former Brave, former Angel. He's got a little bit of a jump in his delivery too, but it's not as pronounced as this kid. And it's going to be interesting, because basically what they're saying is that a pitcher can break contact with the rubber, reset his plant foot, and then pitch, which a lot of guys used to do illegally, to gain an advantage. That's kind of an old sly move guys used to employ.
Yeah, so the issue, he said, was elevation. They don't want his foot to get too high in the air. They want it to make it more lateral than his roots. Herrera, great job, got over the railing first and then made the catch. So I guess what they're saying, JD, is that his motion, that he doesn't really stop, that this is all part of the same motion, this hop and the whole deal.
Right. So the hop I get, but to me what makes it suspect is the fact that that back leg kind of plants again before he pitches. I mean, I give him credit if if they continue to deem it illegal, and he can pull it off without blowing out his back, because that is so awkward looking. And plus he throws about 98 miles an hour, so you do that. Plus he's shortening the distance between his release point and home plate by, I don't know, about a yard.
Now, we don't have video of Tim Lincecum, but he doesn't do quite that. There has been a lot, written over the years about how much extension he gets when he pushes off the rubber.
Yeah, he has a long stride, but he doesn't break contact with the rubber and then reset his back foot, which is what this guy kind of does. So if what he's doing is legal, my question would be, then why couldn't any other pitcher start his windup in contact with the rubber and then just kind of slide it forward a foot to gain that advantage?
Well, Larry Young's here. We can ask Larry. Hire a supervisor. 2-2 on Joey Votto. RBI single to give the Reds the lead in the 4th.
And that maybe ultimately that's what happened. Of course, guys are comfortable doing what they're doing. Most guys probably wouldn't feel comfortable trying to cheat up the foot in front of the rubber anyway. But I guess if there are a rash of it, then Major League Baseball would have to address it, and maybe that delivery of the Caps kid would be deemed illegal.
And he was called up, by the way, yesterday. Pulled over Rizzo and into the right field corner. Votto will head to second. And now stop at second. As I think some teams are realizing you don't want to take too many chances, especially with 2 outs against Jorge Soler.
Yeah, that was a good decision by Votto. There's a lot of base runners will carry a lot of momentum into second base, and you see them get about halfway between second and third, and it's like they hit quicksand. They just kind of lose their legs. And with 2 outs, and Soler being the guy out in right field who's making that initial throw, that would have been a risky play for Votto. And Alcantara, really, that guy, Alcantara's got a strong arm too.
Two-out double. Fastball right in there on Frazier. 0 for 2, but he has scored a run. It's done a fielder's choice in the 4th. Matt Harvey making his 2015 home debut tonight for the Mets. Some hit batters in that game. I think Terry Collins got ejected. 5-3 Mets as they play the 6th. Harvey with 8 strikeouts and has allowed 2 home runs. Strike called on a curve. It's 2-2. Clint Hurdle ejected in the Tigers-Pirates game.
Dog days of April.
Yeah. Detroit with a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th. Shane Green still working for the Tigers. 7 innings, 3 hits. A.J. Burnett, very good, but left trailing. 6 2/3, 7 hits, 1 run for the Pirates. The Reds dugout out of play.
Red Sox lead the Nationals 8-7. Strasburg and Masterson were the starting pitchers, and didn't go well for either one of those guys. Strasburg allowed 10 hits, 5 runs, and 5 1/3. Masterson allowed 7 earned runs and 4 2/3. Pedroia hit his 3rd home run.
Soler and Wright over near the line, and he's got it. That's it for the Reds in the 5th. They strand 1, and they lead the Cubs 3-0. Obviously has to stem from that play at third. The collision with Castro. So Skip Schumacher now playing second. When we find out what the official word is, we will let you know.
Cubs getting their first real look here at DeSclafani. They faced him as a reliever last year with the Marlins. He's faced one over the minimum so far. A walk in the second. He raced on a double play ball, and then a 2-out single by Soler last inning. Good command of all of his pitches, fastball, slider, and change. A little bit of a hitch in his delivery, a little hesitation there at the top that may upset the timing of the hitters a little bit.
Count even, 2-2.
This time there wasn't much there, but on occasion he'll hold that position right there just a little bit longer. Does a nice job gathering himself, staying balanced there over the rubber.
Colts Neck High School in New Jersey. That knocks his glove off, and he recovers and makes the play.
Now he's just showing off.
His composure there after the glove literally came off his hand.
Well, watching him swing the bat and just the way he moves around out there, you can tell he's a good athlete. And wait a minute, he's a major league player. Of course he's a good athlete. Well, not all pitchers are good athletes, but this guy is. And a heck of a play.
Montero with one away. Cubs with 2 base runners. Castro walked in the second. Soler singled in the fourth. That's been it. And a strike. One way to remedy bullpen issues is to not have to use it much.
Yeah, and that's I think Brian Price said that he's had to go to that bullpen a lot. They've been in a lot of tight games. Frequently to the bullpen. Speaking of bullpen, there's lefty Zach Roskup, fresh up from Iowa. Strength of this Reds club last year was their starting pitching. They didn't score many runs. Their bullpen wasn't good, but the starters were really good, led by Johnny Cueto. Matt Latos is gone. Alfredo Simon is gone.
Sean Marshall has been dealing with arm issues, shoulder issues for a while. He's recovering from surgery. They had a long run of really good bullpen work. And Montero draws the walk. Are you in charge of planning your next social gathering for the office or friends? Bring your group to Wrigley Field and enjoy special perks only available inside the ballpark. The Cubs offers special ticket packages for groups of 15 or more. Call the group sales office and speak directly with your dedicated executive at 773-404-4242 or go to Cubs.com/groups. Ball one on Alcantara, who started the year 0 for 16, but he snapped that with the game-ending RBI single on an 0-2 pitch last night in the 10th inning.
He's just taking a wild swing at a changeup down about ankle high, and then Badenhop threw him another one and hung it. Alcantara's first hit of the year is a game winner.
There's quite a pile there. At one point, it looked like Miguel Montero was literally kicking Alcantara in the backside. Watch this. Watch Montero come in. Right here, 47. Watch it. Yeah, that's how baseball players show their teammates love. I really wish he wouldn't do that to me after a good broadcast.
Yeah, we have.
I haven't said that for 2 years, but
I'm throwing water on you here in a minute after your next great home run call.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, 2 outs. Only the third strikeout for DeSclafani.
At the plate, the pitcher.
Yeah, Alcantara, he's just, despite the game-winning hit last night, obviously he's really struggling. He's caught in between. He's always, well, not always, we haven't seen that much of him, but last year, his primary weakness was that changeup. Continues to be a problem for him, and when he gets that in his head, he's late on the fastball. He's just stuck in between in terms of his timing. It's amazing how quickly this game can grab hold of a player and just punch you in the gut. You come out of spring training, you're feeling good, you're optimistic.
And that kind of feeling, being on the precipice of an 0 for 40 for a hitter, 3 straight blown saves for a closer. I mean, it always exists until the day a guy retires, right? It never goes away. Some guys handle it better than others. 3-0 Reds at the end of 5.
East leading Atlanta Hawks in the regular season finale. Bulls pregame live, presented by Coors Light, begins at 6:30 on CSN Plus.
Here it's 3-0 Reds as they will bat in the 6th inning against Jake Arrieta. You see Jim Riggleman, the Reds' new third base coach, in the foreground. We'll chat with Riggs today.
Yep.
What a nice man.
Doing good. Back in the big leagues after spending some time down in the 3 seasons. I think he was back managing in the minor leagues. We miss him. We spent some time together. He played for Riggs in Vegas, and then a little bit with San Diego when he first got hired in 1992.
Schumacher with his first at bat, and for Brandon Phillips. Grounds out to Alcantara. Jim Riggleman managed the Cubs from 1995 to 1999, including that 90-win season, and a wild card berth in 1998. All those Sammy Sosa home runs. Padres, Cubs, Mariners, Nationals. His managerial resume. Fowler in center. 2 quick outs.
Padres, Cubs, Mariners.
Interim in 08 with Seattle.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember him managing it.
At the plate, the left fielder.
Yeah, he followed John McLaren in 08. Bird last year with the Phillies hit a career high 25 home runs in a career high 637 plate appearances at age 36. And it wasn't just at age 36, but it was a couple of years after it looked like his career might be over. He'd been traded to the Red Sox, got released, got suspended for 50 games for violating MLB's PED program, but then came back in 2013 and had the best year of his career with the Mets and the Pirates. Two strikes on him. Montero wanted time to go over the signs again with Arrieta. Might have been looking for Jorge Soler's home run ball earlier last night.
Should give him some tools. Let him go out there and start hammering away in the bleachers.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Arrieta makes quick work of the Reds in the sixth, but trails 3-0. For those affected by the tornadoes downstate recently, affecting Fairdale and Rochelle communities. If you were unable to get to the ballpark tonight because you're watching us, that's probably the case. Go to Cubs.com/give and you can donate through Sunday. Proceeds from tonight's Cubs Charities 50-50 raffle will also benefit the cause. Cubs batting here in the sixth. And a strike on Jonathan Herrera. Hitting ninth in the order. Fowler and Rizzo to follow. This is outside, and much has been discussed here and elsewhere about the pitcher batting eighth. You know, the other component to this that I really like, JD, is just maybe buying Rizzo and Soler and guys like that an extra plate appearance or two, you know, every month by having those guys hitting second and third instead of third and fourth. We can talk about RBI opportunities and all of that stuff, but if your best hitters maybe hit one spot higher than they normally might, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know statistically how big of a difference it's going to make, but I think it's certainly worth giving it a go. Just letting it play out for a while, and if you don't think you're gaining any real advantage from it, you can go back to a conventional lineup where the pitcher hits ninth.
The ground to the shortstop, Cozart, who was shaded toward the middle. He makes the play.
Wants to be a part of it, email him directly, clark@cubs.com or cubs.com/Clark for more information on how to book him for your special event. Just haven't been able to put anything together here tonight. Haven't had a leadoff man reach all night long.
One and one the count on Fowler. Former Cub Bobby Scales, I don't think is still substitute teaching, but when he played, he did in the Atlanta area, and one of his students was Dexter Fowler. On the ground, and it'll be a hit as Schumacher got to it but could not glove it.
Immediately your thoughts turn to Brandon Phillips and would he have made that play, the Gold Glover? Perhaps he does, but that's Fowler going down the line, so that's going to be a difficult play for anybody. Schumacher didn't get his glove opened up in time. Maybe closed it a little early.
You know what he did? He skipped over the ball. They have a couple of skips. Kyle Skipworth, the catcher, on the roster as well. Yeah, I like Anthony in the 2 spot, whether the pitcher hits 8th or 9th, because of his on-base skills. If you want both Rizzo and Soler to hit in the first inning, somebody's got to hit number 2. Rizzo actually led off a game or 2 in spring training. Joe kind of had some fun with the lineup. Hamilton drifting over toward the gap in left center to make the catch. And 2 outs.
All right.
He's been a Cub fan his whole life.
I'm going to rule the world.
Or drool the world. Yeah.
Oh, here comes Mr. 2-run homer.
Couple of them last night. So he and Mandy Brooks in 1925 are the only Cubs in the last century to have 2 multi-homer games in their first 30 big league contests. Other one came last year in St. Louis. 26 RBIs in his first 30 career games. The last Cub to do that, Bob Speak, 1955. Fowler runs, and Soler hits it out of play and may have cracked his bat.
I believe he did. Actually a mistake by DeSclafani. The breaking ball backed up on him like a cement mixer, and because of that, Soler gets jammed. Fowler was off to the races.
Kind of felt like his coming out party was on August 29th last year, didn't it? And maybe for the Cubs as well, because he hit those 2 homers in St. Louis. You just kind of got the feeling over in that first base dugout, like, who is this guy? In the dirt, Fowler running, and he's going to be safe. The tag applied up around the helmet, but he got in with his feet.
We talked earlier about the risk reward of stealing bases, and down 3 runs. Obviously, you got to be careful on the base pass. But Fowler felt like he could get the bag, and he did. It was close. If you're in a hitter's count, you're less likely to run there. You think Soler might do some damage. Now base hit. At least gets the Cubs on the board. Yeah, and I think Soler's one of those guys when he shows up at the ballpark. He's such a physical specimen. People are like, who is that guy?
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Yeah, he reminds me of when Giancarlo Stanton, who was Mike at the time, came to the big leagues. To the 7th, 3-0. Go Padres. Cubs pregame live, presented by Fields Auto Group. Starts at 12:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Reds lead the Cubs 3-0. Jake Arrieta had one bad inning. That was the 4th. Other than that, he has had 4 1-2-3 innings as he faces switch hitting Brian Pena. He was able to hold up, and great to have with us former Cub pitcher Milt Pappas.
Hi guys.
Hi Milt, how are you?
Milt, oh, just nice to be here. Nice to be anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. So I like it. It's a cool night, but you got the short sleeves. Did you wear the sweatshirt when you pitched when it was cold, or no?
Oh God, yeah. I don't understand these pitchers today. When it's out there, it's 20 degrees, and they got nothing underneath except a bare arm. Isn't that crazy?
Used to wear those the heavy wool, the woolies, right? Those
Oh,
real
my
heavy
Lord.
ones. Yeah, we'd wear them in the summertime.
And after 3 innings, you got to take it off because they weigh 20 pounds in sweat. Yeah, it's a little different when you don't score runs, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And the Cubs have not done much against Anthony DeSclafani.
Who? Is he Greek?
So
I don't think so.
3-1 the count on Pena. You started your career in 1957 with the Orioles, finished it with the Cubs. In 1973, you were with the Cincinnati Reds. Middle part of the 60s. You faced a lot of great hitters, Milt. He was the best.
The best?
In each league, because you pitched in both leagues. Toughest guy in each league.
I think the all-around best athlete, best ball player, I think was the guy who played right field for Pittsburgh. Roberto Clemente. He could do everything. Now, Willie Mays had the greatest instinct of any ball player. If he was on third base and the catcher dropped the ball, he's on his way to home plate. You don't see that. And his instincts were fantastic, but all around, everything, Roberto Clemente. I never saw a man go from first to third on a base hit to right field, and Clemente had they just stopped.
It's play by Herrera.
In the American League, we had Mickey. I mean, I could go on and on and on of the guys I played with and against. That's just the talent is different today. You think so, Jim?
Well, I think the star caliber players like Mantle in that day. I don't know, boy, Mike Trout. It's hard to beat Mike Trout. I think overall players are bigger, stronger, faster, better conditioned now than they've ever been.
But is the condition helping him?
Well, I think so.
Well,
I think there are players who maybe don't have the baseball instincts that players did back in the day. Maybe kids that didn't play as much baseball growing up as they did in that era.
Well, why do you see so many guys break down, especially pitchers?
Well, I think part of it is the weights.
Isn't it true? The working out.
Good effort by Coughlin, can't get it. And Cozart will slide into second.
I think they do too
double.
much. I think the pitchers do
that's part of it.
way too much. Like you say, you got a guy like Trout. Well, who does he remind you of in the days that we played?
Yeah, I think of Mantle from your era. Trout, the guy who could do anything on the speed, power. Josh Hamilton, when he was was reminiscent of Mantle. A guy who could hit a 500-foot home run and then drop down a bunt for a base hit or steal a base for you.
I used to bow to him when he tried to bump me. Thank you, Mickey.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, everything's different. Pitching is 5 days. We pitch 4. The relief pitching wasn't as great as it is today. So there are some good things and, not bad things, but a lot of different things today.
Yeah, the game has changed.
The game has changed dramatically.
No question. In your era, relief pitchers were pitchers that just weren't good enough to be starters.
Yeah.
So if you were one of the top 2 starters on a club,
You got to make it.
The last thing the manager wanted to do was pull the plug on you because he knew that the guy down in the pen was inferior. Not every single time, but now a lot of managers in the game today, and the Royals are probably the best example of this, what they did last year. They get their starters through 6, even if he's throwing a pretty good game. It's like, thanks. We'll see you in 5 days. Let's hand the ball to those 3 kids throwing 98 miles an hour.
Yeah. And they do. It's a big difference today. Obviously, like you said, the relief pitching was not even there when I played. The starters were there. They were told, hey, you go out there for pitch as long as you can, as hard as you can. If you get tired, I'll come and get you. I made the mistake one day of telling Paul Richards, I'm done. I ran for a half hour after the game. It was 95,
right?
95 degrees.
Make sure you won't. Next
and
time you won't be done.
I said I'll never ever tell Paul Richards I'm tired ever again. That's it. I'm done. I pitched 8 innings. I got my I had to change uniforms 5 times.
What did you guys have? Like 9-man pitching staffs back in the day, probably.
Yeah, sure. We have the extra 2 guys. You know, the infielders are out for it's different. I mean, Len, it's a different game today. Is it better? I don't know. I'm not playing today, so I don't know.
209 game winner. Pappas, 17 years in the big leagues. Called strike 3, and you got to get ready for the stretch.
43 shutouts. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I look at that and say that's unheard of.
It is. Joe's going to go to the bullpen. Milt, thanks for stopping by as always.
My pleasure.
Sing on key tonight, will you, please?
I'm trying. I don't do too bad.
I know you do great. You'll be great. 3-0 Reds. We'll be back. Down 3 and some frustration as he discards his gum.
Yeah, many nights that's good enough to win. Cubs just not able to get anything going offensively tonight. Arrieta with that 1 bad inning, and like a round of golf, he just had 1 blow-up hole. Everything else, he was on top of his game. Zach Roskup, the young left-hander, just recalled today. Comes in now. You look at his numbers from last season. He struggled with his command, 12 walks in 13 1/3 innings, leading to that inflated ERA of 9.45.
So Cozart the runner at second. 2 outs, 7th inning. Switch hitter Hamilton batting from the right side. 1 for 3 on the night. Stolen base and a run in the 4th.
Two outs and a man in scoring position. The Cubs in at the corners, taking away the bunt from Hamilton. 2 strikes, they'll peel back.
Swing and a miss. Time for the stretch with Milt Pappas.
Tonight's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, former Cubs pitcher Milt Pappas.
Welcome, you fantastic fans of Chicago. You're the best. And a very, very warm welcome to a great manager, Joe Maddon. One, a 2, a 3. Let me hear you. Me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back for it. Root for the. If they don't win it, it's shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. And we need some runs. Thank you, great Cub fans. Thank you.
Anthony DeSclafani has been terrific tonight. Cubs would love to get into that Reds bullpen. Coughlin in the air to right. Bruce drifting over. Cubs invite you to take advantage of free remote parking and shuttle services on night and weekend games. The remote parking lot is located at 3900 North Rockwell. For details, visit Cubs.com. Cubs honoring Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks, all season long. The 0-1. Astro walked in the second, retired on a nifty play by DeSclafani in the fifth. Spun around behind his back, basically threw his glove at the ball. He didn't throw it, but it got knocked off.
Knocked off his glove,
yes. It was picked by Frazier. Spin the throw and the out.
Yeah, if DeSclafani had left that ball alone, Cozart would have made the play for him, but he was able to scamper after it after the deflection, run it down and make a play. Similar thing happened to Kyle Hendricks in Colorado the other day, where he reached kind of back across his body, and the ball that would have been handled for a double play in all likelihood by Castro off Kyle's glove went for a base hit, and it's part of a big inning for the Rockies. And I asked Kyle about it yesterday. I said, you know, those guys behind you, they get paid a lot of money to catch that. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I know. And he goes, I'm usually pretty good at letting those go. And he said that won't happen again. And with Hendricks, when he tells you that, you tend to believe him. He's such a heady guy. I would have said, boy, I hope I don't do that again, or I'll try not to do it again, knowing full well that I probably would do it again. But he's like, no, that's not going to happen again.
Oh, 2 outside. Sclafani, a product of the University of Florida. Another fly ball. Hamilton camped underneath. And another 1-2-3 for DeSclafani. It's getting late. The Cubs trail 3-zip.
baseball. That bat is up to the moment, at any moment. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet.
So Anthony DeSclafani, in his 7th major league start, this is the deepest he's ever gone into a major league game. His previous long mark was 6 1/3 against the Cubs in Miami last June 17th. Gave up 4 runs and a no decision that night. Could get the win here this evening, leading 3-0. Jason Marquis is going to pitch tomorrow for the Cubs.
Former Red Travis Wood will do the pitching tomorrow.
Ross Cup on in relief of Arrieta and struck out Hamilton to end the 7th. 6 2/3, 3 runs. The line for Arrieta. Strike called on Votto. Another former Cub is Kevin Gregg, and he's up in the Reds bullpen.
Big swing induced by Roskup. Don't see that very often. Once in a great while from Votto. They're sitting on a pitch and kind of an ugly hack. Usually follows it up with a line drive somewhere. I'm not sure how long this call-up will last for Roskup, but I suspect he's going to spend a lot of time in the big leagues this year. He's got really good stuff. Threw the ball well in spring training. Chris Bosio had a lot of good things to say about him. Ultimately, Joe Madden would like to have 2 lefties out there in the pen. James Russell was signed by the Cubs after being released by Atlanta. Reported to AAA Iowa. Good try.
Ball 4.
He's got such a good eye.
So on for the 3rd time tonight, Joey Votto. Yeah, how many guys don't swing at that?
Yeah.
You know, not too many.
Yeah. Most guys will, just kind of take a whack at it, maybe foul it off, but such a keen eye. Great awareness of what pitchers are trying to do to him.
Frazier hacking away at the first pitch. It'll be Soler, shallow right for the out.
Arrieta tonight struck out 5, walked 1. Through 110 pitches, 73 for strikes.
Nationals lost again, 8-7 at Fenway. 2-6. Team many people thought, and still could be, the best team in baseball going into the season. Red Sox are 6-2. 3-run 7th did it for Boston.
How about the Twins coming into play tonight? 6 games behind the Royals in the AL Central. A week into the season and you're 6 games back.
Ryan Schlitter up in the Cubs bullpen. Yeah, I mean, you're 6 games out. You're basically 2 to 3 weeks behind, trying to make up that much ground. The first late. CC Sabathia is 0-2, losing at Baltimore 4-3. Scary incident in Cleveland tonight as Carlos Carrasco took a shot off his head from Melky Cabrera. Certainly hope he's all right. Ross Cup will field, and he'll get Schumacher with Votto now at second, 2 outs. That's where being left-handed on the infield comes in handy, doesn't it? There are too many situations like that. Spin and fire.
Yeah, when you just kind of reach and turn all the way around. You have to turn back across your body.
I mean, when you were a kid, did you ever play shortstop?
I did. I played shortstop in Little League, yeah.
How did it feel as a left-handed thrower?
You know, we weren't turning a lot of double plays and things like that in Little League. So it worked out okay.
I want another left-handed throwing catcher in the big leagues. Will we ever see it again? There's so many reasons why it hasn't happened very often over the course of baseball history. One simple one is, if you're left-handed and you have a good arm, you're probably pitching.
Yeah.
Would make those throws to first base easy after a drop strike 3.
Yeah, it seems like there would have been more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of it is just because there hasn't been. So when kids are young and they're left-handed, nobody's sticking a catcher's mitt in their hand and saying, "Go do it." So all the youth out there watching the game tonight, there's your mission. If you're left-handed, get your hands on a catcher's mitt and get yourself to the big leagues.
Mike Squires did it 2 innings worth in 1980 with the White Sox.
Benny DiStefano did it a little bit. Maybe with the Pirates.
Let's see. 6 innings. In 1989 with the Pirates. Foul tip, strike 3. Ross Cup is scoreless 8, still 3-0 Cincinnati. AT&T versus Multiview. The Reds lead this game 3-0. Joey Votto's been on base 3 times. Jay Bruce with an RBI single. Same for Marlon Byrd. All the runs came in the 4th. Byrd has had a really solid defensive series as well. Moving his feet twice to make grabs and left. Matt Caesar against former Cub Kevin Gregg.
Veteran trying to find a home here in the Reds bullpen. It's not been a good go for him so far. It's kind of been the story of the Reds bullpen. 8th inning's been a bit of a bugaboo for them.
Caesar hitting for Alcantara with Wellington Castillo on deck.
Kevin Gregg typically, one way or the other, it's going to happen in a hurry. Works quickly, throws a lot of strikes.
Driven to left and deep. If it's fair, and it's not. Just hooked it foul.
Promising when it left the bat. Not able to keep it fair. An inside fastball. Just got out in front of it a little bit. Caesar had a very nice spring. Hit the ball with authority out in Phoenix. 5 home runs in the Cactus League.
So the Reds bullpen 2 out of 6 in save opportunities. Matt Carpenter homering off Gregg. They've had all kinds of pen issues. We mentioned earlier, none of the blown saves belong to the closer, as Gregg just walked Caesar. And Price probably thinking, here we go again.
He's obviously thinking it, but he cannot, got to kind of keep a stiff upper lip and encourage his guys. And people in Cincinnati asking, are you going to demote guys, change their roles? And he said, man, we're a week into the season. I can't start pulling the plug on guys now.
So Gregg is making his 4th appearance. He's allowed runs in each of his first 3. Blown save against the Pirates on the 6th. Castillo sends one high and deep to left. Bird goes back to the warning track, and it's gone into the basket. A 2-run homer, and the Cubs are within a run.
Here we go. Late inning heroics have become the norm here in recent days for the Cubs. Boy, Wellington Castillo just keeps having one good at bat after another off the bench. None better than that one, as he delivers a 2-run home run to pull the Cubs within 1. Their Ford home run replay. Get over fastball by Gregg. It got over and then it got out.
So 4 appearances and runs allowed in all of them by Gregg. And he's also given up a lot of line drives. The blown save, a hold against St. Louis, even though he allowed a run, and then the loss a couple of days ago. Well, the Reds just hanging on here. And Mike Olt sends one high to center, but Hamilton has it for out number 1. So 3 consecutive pinch hitters to start the 8th.
Well, and I think, Joe Madden, his thinking has got to be, I got to go for it here, empty the bench, do whatever I can to inflict damage in the 8th, because Aroldis Chapman will pitch the 9th for the Reds.
We might see Chris Coughlin at third base in the 9th as well, with Alcantara out of the game, and probably leave Caesar into play left. And Fowler, an awkward cut, lost the grip on the bat. Former starter, now reliever Tony Cingrani. So the Reds got 7 out of their starter Mike Leake last night. He could not hang on. DeSclafani with the best start of his short major league career. 7 shutout innings tonight. And yet maybe some frayed nerves in that visitor's dugout. What I said a few innings ago about occasionally getting an early lead. Whatever.
Yeah.
Trail 3-0 in the 8th every night and come back and win.
It's good for ratings.
Right.
Good take. Tempting split finger pitch. They were able to lay off. Ronnie's ready. He'll get Rizzo.
That's strike 3. Be it righty Greg.
Right on the outside corner to finish off Fowler.
Pitching change here in the 8th. 3-2 Reds. This spot, the Reds have decided to use him as a reliever. Most of his major league appearances in his career have been as a starter.
He may ultimately morph back into the rotation at some point. Opened up eyes a couple of years ago with Cincinnati, 2013. A bunch of starts, pitched very well for them. He's had some injury problems along the way. Tough on lefties, just 187 against him.
Chicago area native. Up and in on Rizzo. Ronnie went to Lincoln Way Central High in New Lenox, Illinois.
Does a lot of work up in the strike zone with that fastball. And hitters see it coming out of his hand. That looks awfully tantalizing, but you got to get him down a little bit. Premeditated swing there from Riz.
Bronny went to South Suburban College in Illinois, and then Rice University. On the ground, and a wicked hop past Votto and Schumacher and into right. The hometown bounce.
Local knowledge. He knew exactly where to hit that ball. Top spin. You see that top hand really fly through that, and I think that helped contribute to that big bounce.
Crowd is buzzing. You know who is at the plate. And the fans are on their feet for Jorge Soler. Two of them last night.
I got Mike Leake on a breaking ball and a Jumbo Diaz fastball about 435 feet straight away center field.
This crowd has come to life. 27,525. Not a whole lot to cheer about in the first 7.5 innings. 3-0.
On a challenge with a heater. No thought whatsoever of a 4-out save from Aroldis Chapman. No movement down in that Reds bullpen. No righty had been up throwing, preparing for Soler. So Rice made up his mind he was going to go with Cingrani. Sink or swim with him regardless of what Rizzo did.
Want anything to do with him. So the tying run is now in scoring position. And former Cub Jeff Pico, the Reds pitching coach, is going to head out.
He wanted no part of Soler. And quit on that fastball after way up out of the strike zone.
Well, they say hitting is contagious. I don't know if either of us actually believes that, but I think the residual effect of what Soler has done is giving other guys opportunities with men on. And as you said, protection ends up being the guy in front of you. Because now all of a sudden, Coghlan gets a chance with a flare. He could possibly tie this game.
Yeah, and I think, you know, obviously they didn't want any part of Soler. And it's interesting because as good as Soler was and as strong as he is, the odds are still greater that Chris Coghlan's going to get a base hit than Jorge Soler is going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Which is what they were, they were kind of, their strategy was worst case scenario.
He's off to a great start. He's 0 for 3, however, tonight. 1-0. Outside corner. 1-1.
Tough pitch. Slings it right over the outside edge. Perfect pitch. No. I don't want any part of those if you're Chris Coghlan. Now with 2 strikes, you have to be willing. Maybe try to punch that one the other way.
Tying run at second, that's Rizzo. Go ahead runner at first, Soler. Ball got out of the Reds bullpen. Joey Votto screaming. The umpires to call time. Jay Hoover cranking it up. One and 2 on Coghlan. The pitch. He struck him out swinging, and the Reds get out of the inning with the lead. However, off the bench, Wellington Castillo with a pinch hit. 2-run homer to get the Cubs within 1. Left, Coghlan at second and Olt at third. So trip down memory lane for Chris Coghlan, playing positions he played early on in his minor league career in the Marlins organization. Pedro Strop, the new pitcher.
Yeah, whereas the Reds bullpen has really struggled in the early going, the Cubs have been among the best in baseball. Strop still sporting that 0 ERA.
Cut and miss by Marlon Byrd. Cubs are going to get it done tonight. It's going to have to be against Aroldis Chapman. Although they don't have to get 3. At least for the time being, with a 1-run deficit. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Strop really getting on top of that slider, inducing some feeble swings from Marlon Byrd.
All 1 to Pena.
Zach Roskup very good in his 2015 Cubs debut. Inning and a third, no hits, a walk and a couple of strikeouts.
Bullpen continues stellar work. Rizzo flips, Strop covering.
Number 2,
Castro, Montero, Caesar due up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Two outs at Zach Cozart. Slider strike. Backed up a little bit on Strop. Always get that call.
Slider happy tonight. Another good one. Could have been.
Good hands by Mike. Oh, not a good throw, but Rizzo bails him out at the other end. So we go to the last of the ninth. It's 3-2 Reds. Depot toast of the game, Anthony DeSclafani, in his Wrigley Field debut, pitched a gem tonight. 7 shutout innings.
Yeah, toe-to-toe with Jake Arrieta in the early going. He never blinked, just hung in there, allowed a couple of scratch singles, a whole lot of hard contact off the young right-hander. Walked a couple, struck out 5. Speaking of strikeouts, here comes our oldest Chapman. 2 for 2 in save opportunities so far this year for Chapman. He has lost a little bit off his fastball, though. According to Fangraphs, he's averaging only 99 miles per hour with his heater. Last year, he averaged a little over 100 miles per hour. A year in which he struck out better than 52% of the batters he faced. That only happens in Little League and video games, and with Aroldis Chapman on the mound. League average strikeout rate is 20%, a little bit higher for relievers, 22%, but his an otherworldly 52%.
50 strikeouts in 28 1/3 innings against the Cubs in his career. This is his 29th appearance versus Chicago, a 1.27 earned run average. 1-0 on Castro. Cubs are down only a run. Three-time All-Star.
Oh, good swing. Good baby.
Still 1-2. Both these guys are National League All-Star 3 times.
It's such great leverage, and the arm action, how long his arm action is. So much momentum when he turns it loose. Change up. 167 batting average for Castro against him. That's above average, and in his career he has yielded a 146 batting average against.
That will get into left for a base hit. So a great start as the leadoff man is on.
Impressive swing of the bat there. That fastball in off the plate. Conventional wisdom says bunt here, but I'm not so sure I'd be in favor of it. Where you are in the lineup. Montero's got power, and it's just tough to get a bunt down against this guy. Might just be giving the Reds an easy out without advancing Castro.
By the way, Castro, his 15th plate appearance against Chapman. He's batted against Chapman more than any other big league hitter, and he's now 3 for 13. Montero pops into left. Bird coming on. And he's got it. So one away for Matt Caesar. Pinch hit and walked and scored on the Castillo homer in the 8th.
David Ross out on deck. They're paying you the catcher throws well. You got a lefty on the mound. Even with all that, I don't think it's a bad idea to try to steal a bag at some point here. Chapman is just so hard to think you're going to string hits together against him. A very modest lead, however. Going back to the bag as the pitch is being delivered. Pretty much no chance to get to that high fastball from Chapman.
Kick and the 1-1, and did Caesar go? He didn't. And the Reds dugout livid. Which may have caught a break there.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. You got to get it started so quickly to try to catch up. Castro, you have to anticipate the ball getting away from the catcher.
Chapman 6'4", 215. Signed with the Reds 2010. Born in Cuba. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Fastball leaving it inside that time, up out of the strike zone.
Fans into it. Short lead by Castro. Not running, and Caesar fouls off the top of the screen on 99.
Yeah, that ball was off the plate too. But again, it's just so hard if you're in there, standing in there trying to hit this guy. You don't have much time to react. Hard Hat Brigade is fired up.
Another 3-2, and he walked in. Well, Matt Caesar coming off the bench and reaching to lead off the 8th on a walk, and then grinding one out here against Chapman in the 9th to put the tying run in scoring position. Here's David Ross. So the Cubs with a 4-man bench, and all have now been used.
Nothing coming easy for this Reds bullpen. Even Chapman struggling here.
Mentioned Travis Wood will pitch tomorrow. He may end up playing another position tonight at some point. If the Cubs tie it, we go deep into extras. Joe studying that card.
That's a pretty good fastball hitter. Be ready. Can't find the zone.
One out to Ross is a strike.
Top of the zone. Yep.
Astros second, Caesar first. Ross down 1-2 in the count. The pitch by Chapman, strike three called, 2 outs. It's up to Mike Olt.
Chapman, for the first time in a while, able to get the ball down. Over the heart of the plate. Ross just couldn't get it started.
Chapman to Olt. Strike one.
'99 off the plate. Chapman gets a break.
Strike two. Game number 8 for the Reds. Appearance number 6 for Chapman. A busy man here early on. It's down to their final strike. We've said that before. The 0-2 missed. He's made 20 pitches. It feels like about 40. Long at bats here in the 9th. Olt swings and misses, and the Reds hang on. Back-to-back Ks for Chapman to close out the Cubs tonight. And that'll set up a rubber match tomorrow. The Cubs got it to within 1. This team won't quit.
Yeah,
but Chapman just too much.
Yeah, and you know, Joe Madden emptying his bench in essence in the 8th inning, and understandably so because of what we just saw from Chapman. Even when he's vulnerable, he ultimately typically wins the battle. So they get the 2 spot in the 8th on the home run, but just come up short here in the 9th and waste a pretty solid pitching performance from Jake Arrieta.
So for JD and our entire crew, Len Casper saying so long from the friendly confines. Final score, Reds 3 and the Cubs 2. We're back with you on CSN 12:30 for a pregame coverage on this Saturday, middle game of a weekend series against the Padres. Coming up next, Blue Cross Blue Shield Cubs post-game live. Stay tuned.